Good evening, students. So, hope that the third preparatory what you have attended might have gone with the experience of the first two preparatories. I hope you might have done properly. Shortly, we'll be putting uh, answer key for that. Just go through that, evaluate yourself, and then give it as what's your performance score is. So now let us take up one more chapter in that political science that's called global problems and India's role. Before that, you know that you might have heard recently that mass medias there is a lot of confusions about whether they are going to conduct a 10th standard examination or not, as they have called off PU exams, the second PU examination. You should not be very happy when they call off the examination, because may be possible that you will be prepared very well, gone through the preparatory, and you could have done very well in the annual examination. That chance you will be losing. They will be, if at all they cancel the SLC examination, they will going to award you the marks according to your previous performances. I think you know, each one of you know that what is your previous performances is. Those who are usually lagging behind students used to have some problem with it. So don't expect the exam to be cancelled. There's an experience also. The first time you're writing a public examination, that experience you'll be losing. So for time being, so they are thinking that July third week they're going to be examination. Detailed information about how the examination going to be will be given to you shortly. So now let's take up political science, global problems, and India's role is concerned. Okay, global problem and India's role. India's role. Okay, so here we will be discussing about very important points like what are the major problems that in the world has to face. Okay, world level problems are what they have to face, and how did the India react to it. So you know that by 39 to 45, 1939 to 45, the world has to face the Second World War. Okay, so during that Second World War, many damages has occurred both economically, socially, politically. Life has been disturbed, but still after the Second World War, you know that they have seen, people of the world have seen that what danger a war can, especially world war, can bring. That's why they thought to avoid any oncoming wars, any world wars or large scale wars. They established United Nations organization. In the main aim of United organization is to avoid any kind of war in future, which is going to put the human life itself in danger, along with other lives also. So we will be discussing about the problems like in this one we will be discussing about the problems like human rights, arms race. Then we will be discussing about economic inequality, apartheid, terrorism, and then other things. You know, apartheid, and then other remaining things we have discussed in our previous chapter. We will be discussing about, basically we will be discussing about human rights, and then we will be discussing about arms race, and then we will be discussing about economic inequality is concerned. So the first of all, we let us take what is human rights is concerned. You know that every human being born on this earth supposed to have rights, because the rights, for example, the basic rights like right to live, right to express, right to have his own religion, right to earn his food. So like that, there are some basic rights that a human being supposed to have it. So this sense came to man only after some important incident that took place in the world. Especially we discuss about some important, three important incident which made men of the world to know that yes, every human being should have certain rights. So before that, if you look into the history of the world, you know that right from the beginning, somehow or other way, people of different race, religion, gender, etc., are denied of their rights. They are being treated as slaves. They are being captured, they are being imprisoned, they are forced to work for them, and they are not treated properly or equally. So we know these things, especially when we go through that. Okay, even if it is ancient civilization also, when the kings and queens used to rule it. Okay, along with it, gradually a kind of sense came to people of the world that yes, we are equal, every human being is equal, and even each one should have their own rights, basic rights, to live like a human being. For that incident, it did not take place suddenly. There are some incidents, there are very important world events that took place. Among them, we have to talk about American War of Independence. American War of Independence, which had taken place in the year 1776 is concerned, and then the French Revolution is concerned. French Revolution, it is 1789, and Russian Revolution in the year 1917. These important incidents, American War of Independence in 1776, French Revolution in 1789, and Russian Revolution in the 1917, gradually made the world people to think about that human rights is concerned. These wars took place basically that when someone tried to overrule them, someone tried to take their right of living, they revolted in the form of American War of Independence. It is maybe French Revolution, or it may be Russian Revolution. Gradually a sense came to people, and this is one example that how did the people react to when they are not been given any rights. Later, you know that just now I was talking to you that after the Second World War, 1945. If you want to know exactly, 1945 October 24th, that United Nations organization came into existence. And then United Nations organization not only thought about avoiding war, but also it had some other important events or things to look into. Among very important thing, human rights also one of the important thing that the United Nations wanted to work at. According to that, it is said that December 10, 1948. Remember that this one. December 10, 1948. The United Nations organization accepted certain rights that are supposed to be given to each and every human being in the world without any difference. There should not be any discrimination while giving certain rights. That's what it is said that the General Assembly has mandated the member countries to adopt and protect human rights in every country. In order to facilitate a better implementation of human rights, the United Nations organization has provided guidelines along with the Human Rights Declaration. Not only it announced that, you know that most of the countries of the world today are the members of United Nations organization. And as United Nations organization agreed and accepted that each and every member country is supposed to see that every citizen in their country is supposed to be enjoying certain human rights. It not only made it mandatory. Mandatory means compulsory, but also it founded a organization or a commission in its own United Nations organization to see that whether the member countries are carrying on its order, whether the countries are giving rights to their citizens without any discrimination. That's also been done. For that, they have given a guidelines of 30 points. That's also been accepted there. As far this is concerned, if I told you the United Nations organization as a step towards providing human rights, also thinks about eradication, stopping slavery and gender-based exploitation of women, etc. So not only it is what you call human rights, but also sees that certain practices which were practiced in the olden days supposed not to be done because they are not human, but they are inhuman by practices. It is said that along with it, I told you this is the step that United Nations organization taken in order to bring human rights to every doorsteps. So this is what worldwide it has been done. At the world level it is done. What about the India's reaction? We are discussing about global problem and India's role. So how did India react to this human rights is concerned? Of course, India right from the beginning thinking about human rights. Okay, that's why we fought against the British, that they are not giving us the rights that one citizen supposed to have. That's why we fought. So right from the beginning, India was fighting against the human rights. Okay, when the United Nations organization declared human rights, India supported fully. As an example, is India providing human rights to its citizens? Means, yes, of course, there are examples like Article 12 to 35, part third fundam. Okay, that's what Article 12 to 35. If you read in the part third of Constitution, there is very clear, okay, clearly declared that human rights is must for every citizen, and Supreme Court through its okay different laws and regulations sees that no one should be denied. If anyone denied of human rights, okay, the protection will be there from the Constitution. Along with it, fundamental rights, the six fundamental rights that each and every citizen of India been given, and fundamental rights also one of the examples that we accept human rights is concerned. Okay, along with it, we also see that we very actually participate, India actually participate about the discussion about human rights which takes place in United Nations organization. And also India, in order, okay, not only worried about that, but also thinks about its own problems what it is there at home. For example, that we have to worry about the minorities. Okay, we have to worry about that people belonging to scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. Okay, and then backward communities, women, children, age. For that, okay, these people also supposed to be seen that the people, they are also human beings. They also, we should be seen that they are enjoying their rights. That's why Indian government has okay commissioned, otherwise has formed different commissions to see that particular okay grouped people, particular category people are enjoying human rights without any danger. So that's why we have a list like we have like National Commission for Human Rights, National Commission for Scheduled Castes, National Commission for Scheduled Tribes, for every okay category of human citizens of India, that India's government has organized different commissions to see that each and everyone is enjoying. Not only it is given human rights through constitutionally, fundamental rights also being given, and also seen that through these commissions they see that human rights have been enjoyed by each and every citizen of India. This is what the step that India has taken regarding human rights. Okay, what is human rights? How did this world thought about human rights is necessary, and what is the contribution of United Nations organization? What is the reaction of India about this? This is about human rights. Let's go to next. That's called arms race. Okay, this is what you call arms race is concerned. Okay, what is this arms race means? We already discussed about it. Arms race means that okay, if you study about the world politics is concerned, okay, gradually, for example, during the 20th century, okay, there was a competition between two blocks, one led by USA, another led by USSR. That was the almost the world was almost at the verge of going for a third world war, because there was a competition between these power blocks in preparation of arms. That's what the main incident it is. What you call it is. Okay, today people think that the scientists and also thinkers think that if at all war takes place, okay, there going to be no human being, there will be no life, okay, left on the earth. Such an amount of arms and ammunition has been prepared and also stockpiled. Okay, so that's what the we decide that there is a sentence called in nuclear epoch, either we have to end the war or war will end us. Either we have to stop the war or we will stop living. That's what the condition that we have reached, because nowadays the mass killing, mass destructive weapons like nuclear bombs have been prepared, and these nuclear bombs threaten the human life, not only human life, along with us other animals, and even the totally environment will be in danger. That's what the danger that we are thinking about. Arms race appears to be a dangerous phenomenon. Disarmament is the present as well as future need of humanity. That means disarmament, you stop manufacturing and also using arms, especially mass killing weapons, especially nuclear bombs, atom bombs, etc. Whatever the arms may be, but we have to stop it. Okay, Disarmament is the only direct process available to bring down the number of arms and ammunitions of our certain arms. Okay, nuclear fear, instability, and the threats of war appear to due to the arms competition. Usually, we know we too are living with neighboring countries. Usually, if a country, neighboring country of okay, our us, if they prepare some weapon or arms, okay, that is going to create some kind of instability in us, a fear or kind of a suspicion, which makes us to think about okay, finding a solution by preparing still more powerful weapon or like that. This kind of a fear, suspicion, and doubt about neighbors, and also spending lot of money in this totally disturbs the human life is concerned. Our economic development will be disturbed, our social structure will be disturbed, our political condition will be disturbed, everything will be disturbed. That's what arms race is supposed to be stopped, disarmament is supposed to be brought. Okay, for that there is a lot of okay, agreement being going through right from the Second World War is concerned. I told you, once that United Nations organization was established, of course that international organization, United Nations organization, is trying to control the arms race is concerned. It tries to solve that any problem that occurs between two countries or any between any countries maybe. So in between, in order to support this disarmament, I just now talked that during the Cold War, I told you Cold War, which took place after the Second World War between the two power blocks, US and USSR. Okay, they came forward okay, in order to give a encouragement for disarmament is concerned. Among them, I told you USA and USSR signed many such treaties to bring down the production and also spending money on arms is concerned. Among them, we have some important agreement or treaty between USA and USSR. Today it is called Russia. USSR is called Russia. Among them, I told you, one is called PTBT, another one is called CTBT. PTBT means partial test ban treaty. PTBT means, and then CTBT means comprehensive nuclear test ban treaty. That means bearing the test. A partial test ban treaty refers to partially some amount. Suddenly we cannot stop okay, manufacturing or stockpiling the arms. That's why partial, some part will stop it. Other agreement will be made between two power blocks. And next, comprehensive nuclear test ban treaty. That means nuclear weapon. Okay, don't test wherever you like. It was there once upon a time. The nuclear test was done either in the oceans or in the open space or under the ground, from where okay, it was disturbing the ecosystem is concerned or the environment is concerned. That's why they brought different agreement. Through this, they try to control the manufacturing and also using of nuclear weapons. So that's why they signed this type of treaty. Next important treaty that we have, SALT, that's called Strategic Arms Elimination Talks is concerned. CTBT, PTBT and SALT are important treaties signed between USA and USSR as a step towards disarmament is concerned. So that's why even today there is a lot of talking is going on about okay, disarmament, because of course the arms race usually going to okay, put the whole world in danger. That's what the former president of America, okay, Hoover, he says that the world which has arms not only wastes the money, it also wastes the sweat of laborers, intelligence of scientists, and wastes the dreams of the children. He says scientists will be involved in the manufacturing of weapons. Okay, lot of money will be spent. Labor, I mean, people you have to work there. So all these things goes waste, because this war leads to nothing, but only it will destroy the dreams of world. So this is what the idea came to the world people, and those who are in a powerful okay, positions and also countries, rich countries, are thinking about disarmament. So as for India is concerned, right from the beginning of okay, that we know very best example that we can give is in this regard is Gandhiji. Right from the beginning, even through when we fought against the British, we used ahimsa, satyagraha, and also passive resistance. I was talking, we never okay, even when they punish or even they attack us, we cannot attack or retaliate, otherwise you cannot okay, fight back with them. That's what the principle is. So right from the beginning, India believes in the world peace. So very easily that India could accept this the disarmament policy of the world. So it accepted. Even today, though India is able to manufacture a nuclear weapon, it always believes that this nuclear power, is supposed to be only for the peace purpose. It's not for the war purposes concerned. Next, let us go for discussing about economic inequalities. The next, okay, you know that economic inequality. What is this economic inequality means? You know that after the Second World War, most of the countries which were ruled by European countries and Western countries became free. Okay, especially African countries, Asian countries, and Latin American countries became free because okay, those countries who involved in the Second World War were mostly European countries like England, France, okay, Italy, Germany, like a country. But they, when they went through the Second World War, they had to look after their own issues at home. That's why maybe one reason. Another reason is okay, during the Second World War, most of the countries which we call it as a colonies, especially India, we were under the control of British. So when World War was going on, we too okay severed our fight against the British, asking for independence. So that was the reason that most of the countries which were once upon a time colonies under the European countries are okay became independent. But once it became independent, okay, they could not okay cope up with whatever the problem that they had at home. For example, poverty, unemployment, okay, and then medical problems, basic facilities like agriculture, industrial developments, communication system, everything was had to be rebuilt. So in this regard, there was a lot of problem that these newly independent countries had. So also India also had a lot of problem in the beginning of 1947 onwards. Gradually we picked. It is said that their progress was really slow till 20th century. Those progress in the sense those countries which became newly independent. After attaining independence, many Asian and African countries attempted to achieve development, but they had a lot of hurdles to cross in the science and technology, agriculture, transport, education, health. Of course, we had a problem because newly we have independent, we have to plan it everything. Okay, we have to develop our science and technology, we have to develop our education. That's why we could not do very quickly develop ourselves and declare that we have developed. Okay, so after 1947, USA and USSR started helping developing country. You know, 1947 onwards, Cold War begins. I told you, so power blocks have been formed. Okay, some countries supported USSR group, some countries supported USA. So those countries were in the USSR and USA. So USA supported their group and then USSR supported their group. Okay, but whereas India is concerned, you know that when Cold War was going on, India followed non-aligned movement. That means he did not want to join any of the groups. Okay, that was one of the point that we have to keep in mind. In the later stage, India continued with its non-aligned policy. India insisted that the developed countries should provide assistance to developing countries without any conditions. This helped the poor nations to protect their self-respect. It tried to channel monetary help to non-development. These countries are trying to come out of their shortage of food, capital, health, education, and many other issues. Meanwhile, the excess spending, open economy, globalization promoted by the developed world is taxing the poor nations with increasing pollution and inability to manage the increasing problems. You know that, of course, once the Cold War came to an end, okay, there was no group between now group headed by USSR and USSR. What did that world rich countries did? Of course, they wanted to help the poor country, but they put a lot of conditions before it. For example, okay, they started okay some kind of misusing the okay condition of poverty in the developing countries. So they forced the poor countries to open the market and open the gate of market so that the rich countries can bring their market goods to our country. Along with it, the rich countries forced the poor countries to sign their some important what you call treaties like globalization. There is another one, it's called, for example, GATT, General Agreement on Trade Tariff. So this kind of treaties which rich countries force the poor countries to sign, if at all poor countries expected some help from the rich countries, once again put the poor countries in trouble because they brought such goods to India. For example, if India agreed for such agreement, they brought such rich countries brought such goods to India, which not only spoilt our culture, environment, okay, but also our industries, agricultural conditions, education, everything was in trouble. So that's what another one problem that we had to face when we were expecting help from the rich countries. Okay, the United Nations organization and developed countries need to act beyond these limitations. India, as a progressive nation, is striving to promote economic equality among all the countries of the world. Of course, India knows very well, all the world countries know very well that what do the rich countries do, how do they try to help us. But India, whenever gets a chance, okay, it argues that while when the rich countries are assisting poor countries, especially in science and technology, in education field, in space technology, they supposed not to put any such conditions. They supposed to help that so that the poor countries, or maybe the third world countries, what we call, they get a chance to come up in the life, so that that citizens of their country also can live in peace. This is what you call the economic inequality. Economic inequality in the sense, okay, so of course we divide the world countries into rich countries, okay, developing countries and developed countries. Nowadays, there is a two group are called developed and developing. There is no lagging behind countries. Otherwise, we can't call it as a poor country. Only two countries are there. Developed countries means rich countries. Okay, a developing country like India, okay, always needs the help of developed countries if at all it wants to rise in its economic condition, social condition, political condition, science and technological condition. But developed countries like America, Russia, Germany, they put certain conditions like okay, for example, as I told you, that India like country is supposed to agree for their conditions like opening market, so that let the American goods come to us, German goods come to us. Okay, when the goods comes to us, so the industries which are there in India, they cannot compete with such goods manufactured by these multinational companies or rich countries, because they are higher in technology. That's why the problem that we are facing, that India is arguing that no such conditions are supposed to be put. So till now we discussed about three major points, like one is called human rights. What is human rights? Okay, and then what are the steps taken to see that every human enjoys human rights? Next we discussed about arms race is concerned, and finally we discussed about economic inequality. Hope that you understood these points. Maybe I think gradually, maybe by the end of this week, I hope I may be thinking that maybe within 1 or 2 days I'll be putting an idea about, we'll be giving an idea about what the examination going to be, because there will be a little bit change in the examination method pattern is concerned. Okay, once we make you know that what is the new pattern going to be, okay, later we'll be preparing you. We got at least 40 days is left with us. We'll be preparing you for how to face the examination according to new examination pattern is concerned. Okay, read the textbook, don't forget it. Okay, if you have any doubt, feel free to ask me. So take care of yourself and also your family. Don't okay, unnecessarily go outside, and then follow that mask wearing, washing your hand, and also okay, sanitizing yourself. Okay, take care of yourself once again. Bye bye.